Hey, DM Hayes here, and as promised, I'm going to deep dive into the members of the Ring of Brass from Critical Role's EXU Calamity. So, here's another. Today, we're talking about Zerxus, Alaris, as always, spoiler alert for EXU Calamity, as well as for the most recent season of Legend of Vox Machina. So here's the interesting thing. The whole reason I started this series was because more characters were showing up in the animated Critical Role universe, but Zerxus was actually the first one to show up, so you might already know a little bit about him. Zerxus appears in Season 3, Episode 4 of The Legend of Vox Machina, entitled Hell to Pay.
I come from a time 1,000 years ago, when gods walked amongst mortals, and the world was ruled by magic. Like you, I protected my home as First Knight, a member of the Brass Ring, a group similar to yours. And also like you, I assumed the best in them. I was blind as my friends condemned our civilization with their curiosity, their hubris.
You mean the Calamity?
So on the animated show, he is voiced by Luis Carazo, an actor who created and portrayed the character in the original live play. Luis is now a regular cast member of Critical Role, playing Azune Nair in Campaign 4, a Paladin Sorcerer multiclass, currently playing on the Schemer's Table. Now, where we see Zerxus on the animated series, he is literally in Hell. He's serving the betrayer god Asmodeus, Lord of the Nine Hells, so it's safe to assume that the 4-part miniseries Calamity is... well, it's not going to end well for poor Zerxus. Seeing him as this changed, evil, and feared being in hell was pretty crushing for fans of Calamity, because in his life, Zerxus was a really good man. He was certainly flawed, but he was good in his heart. His biggest mistake was having too much faith in people and in Lords of Hell. He trusted this guy, played absolutely brilliantly by GM Brennan Lee Mulligan.
You're trying to atone me. And I didn't do anything wrong.
And he stabs you through the heart.
You want to know what I've always hated about mortals?
And you feel his claws dig into the back.
You're wrong! I lay a hand on him and I cast Remove Curse.
He laughs uproariously.
Look at me. This is not who you are. This is not who you are!
Who am I?
You're not this!
You have referred to yourself and your fellow mortals as our children. You are not our children. You are a bad first draft. I'll tell you why I spit on your forgiveness. I'll tell you why I loathe your redemption. To reach a hand down to somebody, they need to be beneath you! And I'm beneath nobody. Then you should have accepted that I was right!
And he pulls the back of your head and rips the skin off of your skull.
Before this happened, Zerxus was a paladin and the first knight of the flying city of Avalar. He was a brave and fierce warrior that single-handedly defended this city. Now, the person who held this role before him was actually his husband Evandrin, who Zerxus was raising a son with. Evandrin went mysteriously missing, presumed dead, and Zerxus took over the role as first knight. In the finale of EXU Calamity, Zerxus learns that his husband disappeared because fellow Ring of Brass member Laren was doing experiments with the Astral Layrite, a powerful arcane device that would allow the city to pass between planes. Now, as first knight, Evandrin thought it was his duty to volunteer to test this out, and he was anchored to another dimension and lost forever. Now, Zerxus asked another member of the Ring, who we'll get to likely in my next deep dive, to erase his memory and replace it with a memory of his husband falling ill and passing of natural causes. After his husband's apparent death, Zerxus unfortunately failed as a single father. Fearing he couldn't do it alone, he pushed his son away, and his relationship with their son Elias was eventually fractured. Luis, as someone who isn't a father himself, he saw this as a real experiment as a role player.
I like to play a parent because it's me playing pretend and trying to access something that I feel like I get a sense of through my imagination, but I can only imagine in real life. There's nothing to compare it to in real life, but I'm endlessly fascinated by that. And so it just made sense for me to have, and I wanted to have a kid that wasn't mine. I wanted to have again, to kind of parallel the relationship between the gods, I think I had told Brendan, I said, I kind of see the story as like a story of like fathers and sons and in a sense. And so seeing like the portrayers as our fathers and mothers in a way, and then I have a kid who's not mine, but is mine, and I've never like explored that.
Zerxus lived in the Tower of the First Knight of Avalere with his griffin, Tempest. His son Elias had been living for the past 7 years in Cath Moira with Adelis Okiro, the brother of Zerxus' best friend, Nidus, who also has appeared in the Critical Role animated universe. Now, on the night of Calamity, Zerxus found the god Asmodeus grievously injured. Zerxus healed him and realized he was really beautiful, resembling his late husband. This was because Asmodeus tells him his appearance changes based on who is looking at him. Zerxus begged Asmodeus not to take his anger out on the mortals, and he honestly really thought that he had reached the betrayer god and convinced him to change his ways. Spoiler? He didn't. The betrayer god recognized that Zerxus' pride would make him a great champion. Now, it gave him the choice to return to the material plane and accept that pact, or stay in the astral plane forever. He stayed at first, where he actually reunited with his husband, because his husband was anchored there. But in the end, he accepted the pact so that he could return to save their son. And in his final moments, before being banished to the Hells, he saw a vision of his griffin Tempest, with Elias on his back, flying through a portal into the astral plane to safety, reuniting the boy with his father Evandrin. Now, Evandrin promised that he would find a way to save Zerxus from this pact, but as we know from the animated Vox Machina series, he did not succeed.
The gods set to war upon Exandria, and in the chaos I found myself face to face with the Lord of Torment himself. But instead of destroying me, he gave me a choice. Die with the rest, or join him and spare my family. I thought if I had enough time, I could reach him, save him, tame his turbulent heart. For my folly, I watched my husband and son fade with the rigors of time, losing even the memory of me, as if I never existed at all.
You trusted a betrayer?
Of course I did. Just like you foolishly trust your Everlight. But there is no difference between the gods above and below. They are